So we built a van for Kanye. Kanye's gonna think this is sweet. Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with NuVision. We got our newest build going on. What we have here is a 2025 Mercedes 2500 Sprinter van. It's all-wheel drive. We're gonna do a 2-inch lift kit to start out, wheels, tires, front bumper, rear bumper, roof rack, all kinds of Baja Designs lighting. We are gonna do some PPF accenting on the bottom rockers, window tint, kind of the whole 9 yards. Something that's kind of cool about this one, most of the time guys are doing like camper van conversions on stuff like this with, you know, the adventure package. This guy just wants a cool family hauler. We're gonna make it stand out and make it look cool. So check out the inside of this thing. It's pretty nice. All leather seats all the way through. Yeah, how many seats is that? 4? I'm not good at math. 4, 7, 10, 12. 12 passengers.
Now my favorite part, let's get that thing in the shop and start tearing it apart. Never done a Sprinter van before, but there's no time like the present. All right guys, got all the parts unboxed for the 2-inch suspension lift on our Sprinter van. Now, we decided to go with Van Compass. This 2-inch kit, we wanted to make sure that it's actually gonna lift our van 2 inches. Measured from the floor to the top of the wheel well in the front, and we're at 39 inches. Floor to the top of the wheel well in the rear, we're at 38.5. Which is kind of weird. Usually it's taller in the rear and a little bit lower in the front, but maybe because this is, you know, a diesel, it's a little bit heavier in the front just to keep that ride comfortable. Now, check out all of these parts. Now, first off, they don't screw around with their instructions. I mean, we've got it all, and look, there's pictures, so you don't even have to read. Pretty confident that this kit should go on pretty easy. The cool part with this is we are going to be adding a shock to the front. You're going to retain the factory setup and then add a Falcon shock. In the rear, we're upgrading 2 Falcon shocks and new leaf springs. We've got our cradle all dropped. These spacers are what is giving you the actual lift on this. And then there'll be some brackets that will then put our strut back in, and then the secondary shock as well. Jump under here and show you how the transmission is spaced as well. On the transmission, they provide bolts and a block that you put in there. As everything comes down, that has to gain some space as well. So you can see that's our 2 inches of lift right there. This portion of the job was a little bit kind of sketchy. You've got to take the whole cradle and drop it down, and so we had all 5 of us on it, but we had great success in doing it. So there's 3 bolts on each side, 1 rear, center, and then front. Just take your time, go slow, and it is definitely doable. Now, the idea is we start getting more new parts on the van. We gave it a name. We're calling it Klaus. What do you think?
The lift is officially done. We haven't put in the wheel well liners yet because we're gonna be putting a front bumper on this thing. Now, the front bumper that we're going with retains the black plastic. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to take out anything fender well or wheel well related. So I'm gonna leave that out for now. Also, got the rear lift in. The rear is super simple. Comes with a new sway bar end link. You upgrade to a Falcon shock. You drop the bump stop down, and then you also add a leaf pack to it. And that should give us 2 inches of lift. We'll know as soon as we set it on the ground, but we've got more goodness going on this van. We've got front bumper, rear bumper, roof rack, ladder, and we've chosen to go with the Rome built on all of that. Check this stuff out. It is really freaking cool. The cool part with front bumper specifically is we get to put a winch in this. This is an add-on front bumper. So like I was saying, it retains the factory bumper, but gives you the option for a winch. So essentially, I would call this like a bull bar setup for a normal vehicle. It only weighs 65 pounds except for the winch bracket. Everything is aluminum. So it gives you the look you want with the added strength of the winch bracket being made out of steel. So that's super cool. We also have running boards that we're putting on. You got one big long one for the passenger side for the rear door. And then in the small box, we've got the driver's side one. So now let's get to work adding all the other accessories now that we're lifted. Once we get all that installed, then we got a lot of lights going on this, and everything is going to be Baja designs.
Done. It's finally done. Okay, so we actually turned it in about a week once parts actually landed, started working on it. So it really wasn't that bad, but this thing seriously tested our patience at every single turn possible. It was just, everything had its challenges of, you know, us learning a new platform and overcoming those things. And this one was pretty mentally taxing, but it turned out really cool. It's done. We learned a lot on this one, so if anybody has another one they want built, we know exactly what to do. Really pretty straightforward, and it turned out really good. So funny thing about this van, we actually have no idea who owns this van. A customer came to us from Jackson Hole. He is the employee of the man who owns this van and wanted this built. And so we have done a lot of research on celebrities in the Jackson Hole area that this van could potentially belong to, and we're pretty sure that it is Kanye's van. So we built a van for Kanye. Okay, so all jokes aside, we're gonna start at the front, go all the way to the back, and just show you everything in detail that we did on this. So most of these components, as far as bumpers, roof rack, all that stuff, came from a company called Rome Built, and they are in Arkansas. They specialize in Sprinter van stuff. So we did their partial front bumper, which is really cool because it maintains most of the factory bumper, but then you cut and mount that up. It gives you capability for shackles on the ends. It's got winch mount, so you've got that option. And then we did 2 Baja Designs LP6 lights on that just for some, you know, extra flair. We did a worn, this is the Evo 10,000 pound with synthetic line. And then we did the Factor 55 matching Fairlead and Ultra Hook. Those Ultra Hooks are sweet. We all run them on our Broncos and they're really cool. A couple of the challenges we faced with this bumper. So you have to actually, they give you a template and you cut on this plastic. As you can imagine, it's really hard to get a clean cut with an oscillating tool the way you want to do it. And so we weren't super thrilled with the way that cut looked. So we actually just got some of this kind of rubber channel to just give it a nice finished look. So that was one of the things we kind of had some issues with. Fitment on this stuff is crazy tight, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad for the installer, good for the customer. This thing's solid, it's not going anywhere, but it definitely is a chore for us to get it installed correctly, make sure all the fitment's good. And then we also, these have a new sensor for the 25s, and so that's this box right here. So there's a radar sensor behind that. That originally didn't get shipped with the bumper itself, and so that was installed this morning, like literally as we finished it, because tomorrow's our deadline. So another thing I want to mention, the Rome-Built customer service has been insane. Ty is the guy that we've dealt with on most of this stuff. We've had lots of questions, lots of, you know, questions, concerns, stuff like that. He gave us his personal cell phone number right before we ordered all this stuff. So we reached out to him many times. He was super, super helpful. So, I mean, I would 100% recommend them. You know, I mean, product's awesome, but from a customer service standpoint, they were above and beyond. So starting on the side, first things first, we did a 2-inch suspension lift. That came from a company called Van Compass. They specialize in van lift and suspension stuff. So this kit's actually really sweet. It's a 2-inch lift, but it adds a shock, a Falcon shock. So that's an additional shock to your factory strut system. One thing I've noticed when driving these vans is it literally feels like a billboard on wheels going down the freeway, and they get hit with side winds and stuff, and they just tip, and they're super, super all over the place. This really stiffened up the ride on this in a good way. Just it has a lot less sway. It feels a lot more planted on the road. Rides great, looks great. We were super happy with that kit. Very, very simple install. I mean, it had its moments of in-depth stuff, but I mean, when you're going up 2 inches on something like this, it doesn't sound like much, but it is pretty significant in the ways of drivetrain components. The other thing that this lift kit gave us was a new full replacement leaf spring in the rear, so stiffened up the rear quite a bit. So towing capacity is going to be significantly better, ride quality is better, and then we did do an upgraded shock back there as well from Falcon. So yeah, overall that lift kit was really, really nice, really well thought out. We were very happy with that. They were very helpful as far as customer support as well, just, you know, in the initial process of ordering the kit, kind of explaining the different options between shocks and stuff like that. They really helped us get dialed in on that. So moving on to a couple of cosmetic things that we did. So I don't know if you remember, you scroll back in the video, the bottom portion of this van was actually body color. So this whole bottom rocker section, we wanted to protect that from rocks in general. So we wanted to put PPF on it to begin with, but we actually opted for matte black PPF, which gave it this really cool look that just kind of completed the bottom in black. And then we've got the gray up top. So that was kind of a cool little addition that we threw at it. Obviously, you know, we tinted the windows. You can't be running around in something cool like this with clear windows. That's just madness. Tinted the windshield nice and light, and then we did do a clear bra on the front end of this to protect that hood from rock chips. So a couple of little cosmetic things that were done there. And then moving on to some more of the Rome-Built stuff. So we did side steps because this thing's gigantic. Those turned out really good. So the driver's side is just a single step, and then the passenger side where it actually has a door is a full-length rail. Wheels and tires on this, we did some Black Rhino 17-inch wheels, and then we did Falcon AT tires, so something that's, you know, going to have that aggressive stance but nice quiet ride, good wintertime snow and ice traction. So this really cool ladder on the side just attaches to the roof rack up top, just so that you have a way to get up there, so that, you know, you can put all your cargo and stuff up there. So that gives a really cool look to the side of the van. Just kind of helps with some of that overland detail. So the roof rack on this, we actually ran into one snag. You do need factory roof rails to attach this roof rack. So we had to mad dash, get some roof rails, install those, put this roof rack on. It all worked out in the end, but on the roof rack, we've got a Baja Designs S8 50-inch light bar. Okay, so as far as powering the lights on this, I absolutely hate nothing more than ugly wiring, ugly switches, stuff like that. So everybody wants to talk bad on Rough Country. One of my favorite things that they make is actually their Switch Pro. It basically gives you the function of auxiliary switches without auxiliary switches. So under the hood, you mount a box that has its own fuse block, everything to basically power the lights. And then you run this super nice button panel inside. It gives you, you know, control of all your lights. And that looks way, way better than having just random switches everywhere to power everything. Because most of these lights have all kinds of different settings. So most of Baja Design stuff comes with amber backlighting, so you have to run that to something. The LP6s on the front have high and low settings, and so, you know, right there between a light bar and, you know, the two round lights on the front, I mean, you're running potentially 4 to 6 switches, if, you know, to run all this stuff. So it's just madness, but it's way easier to do a button panel like that, way cleaner, user friendly for the customer. They don't have to keep track of what it is. You know, it has pictures. I like pictures. I don't read very good.
Girl who
Kid can't even read.
We mentioned at the very beginning that we had a rear bumper we were going to be putting on this. Unfortunately, we were completely torn apart, ready to put it on, and then in talking to Rome Built, we determined that we actually got a bumper for a 24, which is not the same as a 25. They have some sensor differences. Rome Built doesn't quite have anything out yet, so we had to put that to the side, put the factory bumper back on. Kind of a bummer. It still looks pretty good where the front bumper is just kind of a half bumper. I don't feel like it looks out of place by any means. I did still fix the super ghetto trailer wiring I mentioned at the beginning. That is a $7 bracket from Amazon that just bolts a 7-pin right in there. So that's pretty much it for this Sprinter build. If you guys have any questions on builds, stuff like that, want us to do anything, have any questions, just give us a holler. We'll put the links down below, email, phone number, all that good stuff. I gotta go take this to Kanye's house, so